that's recording. Loki. Alright, sit down.
Cool. I think that's pretty much it.
Is that good, yeah?
Yeah, it's
the
good for me.
idea really is to either just move this down and move that around. You can adjust that up and down.
Yeah.
That's
I think
the
that's
idea.
good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Right into
Let's
that.
just freaking do it, blood.
Talk about efficiency. With all the H's.
Efficiency.
Alright. Testing, 1, 2. That's way too loud for me.
I can't see the levels.
Can you check on my audio? So if I talk like this and we go thing.
Like 2 or 3 into the orange.
Yeah, alright.
Try again.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you're spiking the first orange, but I think
First
it's about
orange is
right,
okay. First orange is okay.
Well, but what about me?
This one as well and see if this light goes off. Testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3.
No light.
Cool, that's good. Are you do yours?
Oh shit, how do we do this? You want like that? Gaming, words, noise is how I'm going to speak. Yeah, pretty good.
Oh, yours is actually really good today. Do
Banging, perfect. Gaming, words. We're going to talk about Loki. Up or down? Sounding good? We good? Are we good? Are we gaming?
Mate, how is that working so
Mate,
great today? Is it
what's
because
wrong? Something's going to happen.
this is just in our faces this time. It's in a good position, I guess. Alright.
Yeah, man, let's do this thing.
Alright. Let me set my stuff to do not disturb.
D&D? That reminds me somehow this is on loud. Got to turn that off.
Get over there. Okay. I'm ready when you are, sir.
Let's do it, man.
Alright. Fucking cable, come closer. There you go. Alright.
I'm ready whenever, man.
You don't look it.
I mean, I'm waiting for you to say, like, cool, let's go.
They command your attention. They're looking at you right now and they're like, this Sheps guy, he's not serious.
This freaking guy.
He's not serious about Loki.
We pay your bills.
What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to Streamcast, a show on the internet where we watch the latest and greatest stuff on streaming services with you guys. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. How's it going, bro?
Yeah, it's going good, man.
Yeah?
It's going good.
How are you feeling about being back here on the Streamcast, the flagship show of the FPN, the ones that are really holding it together and not being lazy like James taking a break, Tyler taking a break, Ethan, who is Ethan even?
It definitely feels like we're in the bottom of the ship and there's holes and all of our fingers are there and then one of us has to like quickly stick an arm up and start like scooping water out, and then on the outside is James just like, yeah, I'm going to take another break. Bzzz.
Take a little...
Tyler like, oh, I'm going to concentrate on this music stuff. Bzzz, just drilling holes to the... What are these guys doing? But we love you.
We do. Unlike those guys.
It's true. And some of you guys love us a lot as well. You support us. You make it all happen. The incredible people over on patreon.com/conversation. We got the room for the slash.
Oh, yeah. The
/interior
decorating, obviously.
Don't worry. You'll get the interior decorating segment, boys. Don't you worry. I know that's what you're really here for.
It's sort of a meta thing. Everyone's, yeah. Move on.
Yeah.
Talk about the interior
Loki,
decorating.
I'm only here for the interior decorating. Anyway, the fine people over on patreon.com/conversations that make this all happen. Who do we have to thank?
We have Diogo Dildo, Isak the Ultimate Cumsock, Keralt of Riviera, aka Casper the Friendly Patron, Record Friction, Jeremy Renner, that's
Cool.
right, an official Avenger, got me again, Martin Scorsese's Master H. Barts 12, the Midget Aloy from Smallville Sabine, the former freeloader Christian, Master Chief himself, Albus Scory, Super Sus Ben Fryer, just
Defective, man.
Defective, terrible.
What was QC doing on that day?
Mate, and the thing is, I lost the receipt, so we can't even trade him in for a better one. God, defective clone of Eddie. The Star Wars Encyclopedia, Adam Sunling, and also the Witcher Encyclopedia, it turns out.
Yes.
Raj Vandalin, he's got a plan, guys. You just got to follow him on one last job. The Filthy FIFA fanatic, Joe McCormack. I put in a tongue twister myself to fuck myself up. My Juicy Left Nut. And Kevin, the number one simp. Of Xbox. Oh, and one other person as well. I completely forgot. The sexy producer, Sean. Thank you very much for keeping the lights and mics on and the streaming services going here at Streamcast.
I love that we have all the magic in the world with all our editing stuff, but you made sure to say you forgot a Patreon.
I could have just like put it all in, edit that little section out.
And Sean made it seem seamless. We're actually pretty good at those like seamless cuts. Listen, but no.
Do people actually, are they under the impression that we're
good,
professional, competent, good, like you're saying in any way?
I don't know.
There's no point in trying to hide
Only
it
these morons.
Oh yeah, these guys.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, these guys are good. Let me give them money. Morons. Thank you guys for your support. We love you so much. So interior decorating. We've got new microphone arms right here. We'll talk about them on the True Game podcast, guys.
We will.
But yeah, so we've got more freedom now.
We do. We actually have space, which is nice. So we're relaxed in our armchairs. We have space to do stuff. Don't think that's going to improve the content. Not one bit.
No.
But we're more comfortable, and that's the important thing.
That's the important thing. Wherever you are hunched over, like looking as though we're comfortable. Don't worry about it. It's cool. So episode 3 of Loki. Initial off the top impressions. How did you feel about this episode?
2 things.
Go on.
We're halfway through.
Already we're 50% of the way through Loki season 1. Don't know if there's going to be a season 2, but we're halfway there. How?
I also feel like we've covered a lot more than 3 episodes. I feel like we're 4 or 5 episodes in.
Feels that way.
But we're only 3. And okay, genuine question. I want to know from you guys, like in the comments, or if you're in the live thing in the... There? If wherever you are, let me know. Did anybody else feel like this episode was really quick? Not short, but it went really quickly. Like I normally have about a page and a half of notes. I have less than a full page of notes.
Well, that's actually part of my beef with this whole episode.
Yeah.
I think this wasn't a good episode. It was filler, which you find in a normal TV show. However, those TV shows usually have 20 episodes.
20 episodes a season, yeah.
And you're like, cool, there has to be some filler in between. This is a 6 episode season, which might never get a season 2. These things aren't scheduled to be like a continuing thing. Right. You can't have filler.
No, I feel you.
And I feel like we only learned one interesting thing about this whole thing, and that's about the TVA agents.
Yes.
And where they come and there's a mystery there. Everything else was just...
Do you know what's funny?
Why did we have this whole thing?
So out of 10, where would you put this episode? Give it just a general, like, not a games journalist. Oh, I've played 2 hours of the game. It's a 9.9 out of 10.
A real one. Where their ones don't go below 6.
Right.
But
give me a true...
out of 10. I'm going to put this at a 4. Don't get me wrong. There was some cool stuff there.
Yeah.
There was... We got to learn some mystery about the Minutemen and how they come about and stuff like that. Intriguing. But a couple of things like the villain, the one pitched to us as the villain, immediately went from not so much the villain anymore.
Yeah.
And we're like, at least give us one more episode of her being like something.
If you remember at the very beginning of the show, I called it the TVA is the bad guy. I'm just saying. Anyway, do you know what's really interesting that you give this a 4? Yeah. I gave this a boring 7.
Okay.
So it was perfectly okay.
Perfectly okay.
Which is probably worse than a 4, because at least you feel really strongly about it.
At least I have some sort of feeling.
Yeah, whereas for me, I'll be honest, I simp Tom Hiddleston. Mm-hmm. And I really love Loki. I think he's a great character. And I was entertained the whole way through, but at the end of it, I'm like, that just didn't quite scratch the itch. It was like I was thirsty, I had a drink, but that wasn't the thing I wanted.
Yeah.
It was that. But it was good. Like, it was a Coke or whatever. It's a great drink, but like I just didn't, that wasn't, what is it that I need? You know, I just was left with something. I liked a lot about it. I liked learning about, although the very first thing I wrote them was the TSA. I couldn't remember what they were called. I was like, called it the TSA are the bad guys.
They're just as evil, you know, the TSA.
and I liked the talk between the Lokis and about like mom and all that stuff, and them sort of showing their differences and stuff. That was cool. So I did enjoy that. I felt like we got a lot of character growth out of both of them, or maybe not character growth, but we learned about the characters have a lot more depth to them. But we didn't really move the story along very much. And they're like, oh no, Lamentis won. It's like the worst apocalypse of them all. But like, we don't have any connection to this planet. There's apocalypse. We don't care. So it was a perfectly okay episode for me.
The thing that made me get kind of, not mad, but I was like, why are we wasting time with this? Yeah. Because it was like a 36-minute episode and then 20 minutes of trailer.
Oh my days. They're so long and there's not even a single post-credit scene in this.
Just ridiculous.
Right?
36 minutes long. And there was this one bit where they go and see this woman who's sitting in a shack by herself. Literally nothing gets added to that whole thing. They could have heard the train goes to the Ark thing
and say 5 minutes of the
on
show.
a flyer or something like that, and they used up that time because it's just filler. And I was like, this is the whole episode. That's what that is. The whole episode is filler.
We'll get to it because I have some thoughts on that, but I also agree. I think that scene was just to show that they're both Lokis have different approaches, but are both ultimately kind of comedic relief in their own different ways for their own different like timelines and universe and stuff. But I do feel you. Yeah. Should we jump into it?
Let's jump into it. Yes. So episode 3 of Loki, Lamentis.
Yes.
Don't know what that means. Nope. I was worried to say it. I was like, I'm gonna say it, and people are gonna call me out. It's like, how did you know this? Didn't you go to school? Lamentis. But then she says it later, and I'm like, woo. All right, I got it.
It's just a planet.
It opens up with a banger tune. Yeah. I quite like this tune. It was quite
the openers are pretty good.
Something's in the water. It was really good. And it opens with Lady Loki, just plain normal human.
Yeah, plain Jane.
Sitting down with the TVA agent that got taken from that hut. And they're chatting like good old friends.
Question for you, because I have it here that they're just sitting down for drinks, and it makes no sense. This isn't something this well, actually wrote TSA agent would connect with. And so when we get the reveal later on, I wasn't surprised at all to find out, because I was like, why would she pick that?
I was confused by this as well, and
I didn't know why it was going on.
At that moment, I didn't have any thoughts. I was just sort of like, hold on a second.
There's suddenly sex in the city?
I don't get it. They're like, these people like know each other, but they like don't know each other. But then it very quickly goes on. It's like, oh yeah, like when you drink cold drink, it's like supposed to freeze your brain, actually freeze your memories. And watch, do it again, and I'll ask you a question. It's like, how do I get to the timekeepers? It's like,
shit, what? And then it like resets, and she's like, whatever. How long have we been friends? Best friends. Oh my god, yeah. So why don't you tell me how many people are guarding the timekeepers? Yeah. You know, and you're like, okay, this is the illusion. Exactly. This is what was going on in her head.
And then it all makes sense. And afterwards, she's sort of like, wait a minute, I don't know you. Where am I? What are we doing here? What is this place? And then we cut back out, and it's the moments before they get to that rock smart place, and she's got a hand on her head, and she's trying to get information out of her.
She's doing the voodoo. Yeah. Yeah.
No, wait, that's Scarlet Witch. I'm not going to do that. That's
don't do that. That's copyright, bruv.
Exactly. She'll get angry with that. Yeah. And it turns out that she's just trying to get information, and she says, you go through the gold elevator doors.
Yeah, something like that.
Cool, I've got the information. We see the security camera footage of them going into the mall.
Cut to the Loki intro.
Exactly.
And then
Loki intro.
The door opens and boom, she's in the locker room of the TVA.
Yes.
Which is a bit odd.
Yeah.
Bit weird.
Anyway, she walks in, and immediately sees one of the Hydra men, obviously.
Well, Hydra,
we don't know that yet, but spoiler alert, we're going to tell you right now. One of these TVA agents, they're on like the radio phone over there. And
the radio phone, yeah?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing everything's primitive technology, right?
It does feel kind of, I've just been playing Control.
Yeah.
And it does feel kind of like Oldest House, where there's only a certain level of tech they're able to use, because the rest just doesn't work.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Kind of feels weird. Like,
TVA,
right, it's weird.
But then they have these super advanced portals that open up, so there's contrast.
Yeah.
Anyway, tries to use her magic. The green stuff does come out of her hand, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, the hell? And then immediately starts beefing every one of the Minutemen.
Because, like, it's the same thing with Loki, right? The magic doesn't work. We're not really sure, because the magic did come out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to work here, we think.
Yeah, that's what we're told.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, so then here's the interesting. Loki comes through the portal, like seconds before getting chopped in half, like frickin' that. What movie am I thinking of where the dude gets diced? With the lasers.
Resident Evil.
Yeah. Like, right, but just...
it reminded me more of in Avengers, is it Infinity War, where one of the monsters who's coming after Iron Man with Doctor Strange's portal gets his hand through and it chops off his arm.
Right.
Anyway, whichever, same sort of deal. Same sort of deal.
And then Loki looks around, sees it's the locker room, and then has daggers, which he didn't have before. So he magics his daggers out. So why does that work?
Again, questions.
I'm really confused.
What's happening?
And I'm hoping that this isn't like an oversight. That there is something here that's going to be like, if you think you can use your magic, you can. If you think you can't use it, you can't. I hope it's going to be something like that, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense how we can do it. Because anyway, he goes looking for Lady Loki.
Yeah, and just a trail of bodies.
Or Sylvie. Oh no, we don't have her name.
Sure,
Never mind.
who's
What?
Sylvie?
I don't know. I made it up.
What the hell was talking about? We're not. It's not in the. Get out of here! Come on, we don't know that yet.
I just made that up. Just off the top of my head. It just.
Loki follows and gets to the golden elevators.
Yeah.
Takes out 2 of the guys. She's also pruning people on the way as well, just disappearing into existence. Kind of feel bad for them because they're just doing a job at the end of the day, but they are Hydra, so don't worry about it.
True. True.
And Loki appears right when she's about to go through go to the door, and he tries to like reason with her stuff with this, like, look, we can work together. Let's do this together, guys. Puts the daggers away.
Yep.
But she doesn't want any of it.
Yep.
She's like, no. Calls her Loki. And she's like, don't call me that.
Yeah. Because my name's Thor.
Exactly, because it's Thor. We all know from the last episode we did.
Whoever's
say
theory that was ridiculous. You're an idiot.
By the way, Mario spoiled the whole episode to everybody in the 4 Pillars Network, by the way.
Did he?
He was posting all these spoilers about this episode way before we put up our episode.
Right.
Really, everyone should be mad at him, and if anyone saw any spoilers here beforehand, that's, again, Mario's fault.
Oh, so okay, let's just quickly take a pause. I did see that we were getting some flack for spoilers. I want to just quickly say that was entirely Ed. I had no input on that thumbnail whatsoever. It definitely wasn't a direct result of exactly my word-for-word requests. There's you under the bus. Under the fucking bus. That was 100%. I was like, nah, do it. You were like, oh, but what if it spoilers? I'm like, don't worry. Enlarge this thing. Let's make up a symbol. You know, I asked you to Photoshop a symbol. I can't remember what it was. And be like, you know, one of those like emergency awesome, like things you missed. And we totally made it up. And then people beefed us out because we included the picture of someone that we all kind of knew was coming and who you can find promo material of and all that stuff.
Which, again, was given to us by Mario, so blame him.
Right.
There we go.
Anyway, I just thought it was funny because there was a lot of deceitful shit in that thumbnail that, by the way, was 100% my... I specifically sat down and I was like, no, make that bigger. No, add this. Put a border around that. Like, all this stuff. Anyway, that just cracked me up.
We love you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Play again.
That's right.
So then what happens? Oh, yeah. So then the TVA agents come up behind them. It's that judge woman.
Oh, yeah.
And she's got her baton. She's about to have some serious business.
We presume she's a badass, right?
Yeah. She looks like she's going to be... Apparently in the comics as well, she is a badass, but we don't know that yet in this show.
And not everything's always comic book accurate, right?
Yes.
So
can change
there's
a bit.
that, yeah.
Just as that woman comes around the corner, Lady Loki grabs Loki by the throat and a knife around his neck and goes, I'll kill him, I swear. And she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Kill him. You're coming with me.
Right.
And Loki dives into Lady Loki's pocket, grabs that awesome
the iPad.
PDA thing.
I've been calling it an iPad the whole time, yeah.
Hits the button. They go into a portal. Disappear.
Yeah.
The very next scene, we land in what looks like a basement of some sort.
Yeah.
Don't know what the hell it is. There's like a mattress and stuff like that.
If anybody's seen Pitch Black,
yes,
it reminds me of a lot of the stuff in there. You're like, what the hell?
What's going on?
Yeah.
And as soon as he comes in there, he realizes he's not in the TVA and starts using his powers. He starts like disappearing from one side, appearing on the other side of the room, things like that.
She tries to mojo him.
Yes.
She tries to mojo him.
Just before in between that bit happens, so the way I have it. So go on.
Okay. No, go for it.
Then the basement starts pulling tricks on Lady Loki. The PDA stops working. They say they can't fix it because it's run out of power.
Oh yeah, so basically, you're right. So the first time they appear, she tries to kill him and they zip around.
Yes.
And then
he says, isn't it, you're not the only one that's tech savvy Loki, you know? And she's like, stop calling me Loki. And it's curious, like, why doesn't she want to be called Loki if she's a Loki?
Yeah, so we're not
like
sure.
The naming is such a big deal, right? Like, so there's something there. I thought.
Then they realize that they're on Lamentis 1, and she's like, of all the apocalypses, this is the worst. Presumably because it's like a true apocalypse, where like it is the whole world goes, and the other ones have been like Pompeii isn't the world. It's like in that area. You know, it's like apocalyptic within like a 40-mile radius. Or
like
something.
there was a probably like not as densely populated. The Earth wasn't as densely populated. So when you take out that group of people, yeah, it's a big deal, but it's not like the moon is gonna have a planet crash into it. Right. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Anyway, they have a little meteor that drops into their basement sort of area, wherever the hell they are. They go outside. This is Lamentis 1 of all the places you could have taken us. This is by far the worst one. That planet crashes into this moon right now. We've got hours before we can go. And it's like,
surely the moon crashes into the planet.
That's the thing. They say it the other way around, and I was like, "Are you sure?
Are you sure?" Anyway,
it's like, well, I didn't have time to look around for the brochure, did I? Anyway, they have a good thing. They go, all right.
They go into it. Well, first of all, this is the thing, because this I think is interesting. They go into another hut thing, to figure out like what they're gonna do, because that will save them from these meteor things. Anywho, she tries to. He's like, thinking, and she tries to mojo him.
Yeah, he like takes a breather, right?
Yeah.
And she sort of sees like he's almost like vulnerable at that moment. Slowly walks over. I thought she was going to put the moves on him. It was quite like sexy sort of talk. And then she like puts his hands around his neck. He said, "What are you doing? Are you trying to use your magic on me?
It's not going to work. It's not going to work on me. I'm you."
It's like, what? Because you're a magician? No, because I'm too strong-minded.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if it is actually strong-minded.
I gotta say, there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of things I actually really enjoy about that. We'll assume she is a Loki, because she may not be. She keeps saying, "Don't call me that." She hasn't actually called herself Loki, I don't think.
Yeah.
But let's just assume she is. I like the juxtaposition of them both. So she has one very large sword. He has these two little daggers. For a Loki, she's all about like brute force, and he's all about subterfuge and guile and stuff. Yeah. They even say it when we get to that scene that we both have problems. Right, we both have problems with that scene, but I think it's quite interesting of both their approaches. They're both very different, even to the point where he has these two little daggers. She has this one big sword. They had such different upbringings. I just think it's quite an interesting.
He does say as well one point as well where he's like, "I would never do that." When she's talking about her plan for, she goes. The plan is to destroy the timekeepers and just leave this massive power vacuum and then just leave. It's like, yeah, I would never do that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of giving us hints that this is very different. There's something else going on here.
But then,
before we just disappear from that, we do find out exactly where we are, because we sort of brush past it. Lamentis 1 for some reason. As opposed there's more Lamentis, I guess, because it's
other moons.
Exactly.
Well,
Lamentis
I doubt
1,
2 and 3 are going to be doing great after the planet like explodes.
No, 2's fine. Yeah, 2's fine. It's a holiday destination.
Fine.
Lamentis 1, the year 2077. Guys, it's cyberpunk. This is where it was set. Anyway, yeah, and then they go, all right, well, let's move on. Let's get further on. So let's find a power source for this PDA because we need to power it so we can get back to whatever time zone we want, wherever we want to be.
Time zone.
Time zone.
Also, along the way, as they're going towards like civilization, she says, like, look, stop calling me Loki. I go by Sylvie now. She never says, don't call me Loki. I've never gone by Loki. She says, I go by Sylvie.
Yes.
Yeah, not that I change. I think she maybe says I changed my name, but she never says, my name is Loki. I switched it to Sylvie. She just says, call me Sylvie. So we don't actually know she's Loki.
I feel like she says, she says, don't. The thing is, she says, don't call me that. I get that she didn't say I was never Loki.
Right.
She doesn't say that.
And she never quite says, I changed. She never says exactly, I stopped going by Loki and go by this. Right. She never tells us that she went by Loki.
I feel like the wording, that either they did it intentionally and it's bad writing, or we're reaching here.
Maybe.
Because a normal person, if their name was never Loki, they'd be like, why do people call me Loki?
Right.
I have nothing to do with Loki.
But they always do that. We know this trope. How many times does someone get bitten by the zombie and never think it's important for the group to know? Until they're seconds away from turning. And everybody's locked themselves into the petrol station.
I think I'm not doing so good.
Right. Right.
Good point.
So, I mean, it's a pretty common trope. And then I feel like in episode 5 or 6, he'll be like, bye Loki, and she'll be like, my name's Thor, blood. Why does everyone think I'm Loki?
I am not gonna cement my flag in the she was never Loki in the first place.
I'm just saying we haven't actually had that confirmed.
I think she was. I think she was, and she just wants to be something different. I don't know why, and we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm landing right
here. I'm calling this as the story. Her Odin and whatever. They adopted Loki, the actual Loki, and she ended up being the true heir to Asgard, but living on the streets. And that's because we get the impression that she's kind of like a street urchin.
Yeah.
And then so she is Thor, and then because she's living on the streets, she has to learn trickery and magic and stuff on her own. And so she picks up the role of Loki, even though she's actually Thor Odinson.
Possibly.
I'm totally reaching. I couldn't care less if this is true, but I've learned from you. You say ridiculous stuff up front, it turns out to be true, innit?
But you're also missing the crucial factor that Eddie
also
is
she's a
always
robot.
right. Eddie is always right.
She's also a robot.
So unfortunately you're missing that one key
the
ingredient.
important things, yeah.
Anyway, so they go along and they run into a bunker.
Yeah.
And there's just like a lone bunker, and you're thinking, is this where they're gonna get the power source from? They go, they need something massive.
Yep.
Anyway, they go up to the door, they look through the window, they're like, oh, I wonder if there's anybody home, see if there's anything in there. And this is where Loki says, like, you're probably gonna like bust in there, like use brute force to get in there. It's like, there's much better things. There's let me see what she says. Brute force is no match to diplomacy and guile.
Yeah. And
then she just boots in the door and then immediately gets like repulsor action from some weapon off across the wasteland that they're in on her ass.
Right.
And Loki's just like,
told you. And then he starts on the whole thing of like, despite my associate here, I promise you we mean you no harm.
It's like, sorry about that.
It's very
British.
Very funny.
Sorry about that. My companion is behaving like an animal today.
Right.
Thank you very much. But then looks through the window.
Yeah, sees the farmer husband. Did anybody remember Courage the Cowardly Dog? There's a cartoon from way back when. They seem like... This is going to be so obscure, I bet no one knows, but he looks like the husband from that.
Right.
Anyway, Google an image right now. Go.
Let me finish the scene and we'll get back to that.
So anyway, he picks up that guy's image and then comes on the corner. Weirdly seems to know her name and their history. Right?
I don't know if he ever says her name.
Well, I think he does, and he says, "I'm back. I've missed you so much." Like,
what does he say? What's her name?
I don't remember the friggin' name.
I don't think he says her name. So.
Oh, I think he says his name.
Yes, she says his name.
Oh, she says his name.
She says his name. For some reason, his name's Patrice.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, Patrice, is that you? It's like,
I was boosting cars with
the Dominic Toretto. He got me, and we just recorded Fast 9, so I'm back now.
Right.
Don't worry about it. He goes, it's been so long.
I'm so glad you picked up immediately where I was going with that.
Yeah, you look just as beautiful as they.
Boom. Yeah.
It's like.
Patrice never said a word like that in 30 years.
Exactly.
But, so
that's
here's
how
the
I know
thing.
It's him.
I think the importance of this scene, because I'm reaching and I want the show to be good, despite this one being like solidly okay, is that both Lokis had both of their approaches and both got the exact same result. They're both kind of comedic relief in their approaches to both things, right? Because Loki never really succeeds.
Okay.
And same thing with her. She goes for her approach, but it doesn't really work. He goes with his approach, but it doesn't really work.
Right.
So they're more similar than you think, but also they're very different. I think that was kind of the point, is what I'm choosing to make this scene worthwhile. Because otherwise, we just wasted 5 minutes of a 36-minute long show.
Exactly. It's a very small point to make and waste that much time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. But she tells them, you got to go to the train, which I thought the train was the Ark. I thought this was the thing.
That's what I thought, first of all, yeah.
And I'm like, cool, at least we're speeding up.
I don't know where we are.
She tells them that the only way to get to the Ark is to use the train, because it's like 300 miles away or something. But they'll never let you on because you don't have a ticket. So then they go to the train and work out, she's going to like enchant everyone. You good? You with us?
I'm lost.
Okay, I will cover this whole thing onto the train. The lady with the repulsor cannon tells them that the train is leaving in like an hour or something. They need to get there, right? They go to the train.
Yeah.
Lady Loki wants to enchant all the guards to get them onto the train, and Loki decides, no, transforms himself into a guard. Let's do the subterfuge and guile, because it's interesting that they both want to do it. That one approach, if they were to combine, everything would work out perfectly. He talks his way up to the front. The guy asks for the ticket. She enchants that dude. And that guy says, okay, control radioed in to let them on. And that's how they get onto the train with no tickets.
Right.
Have you forgot this entire section?
No, do you know what? You're going back and forth a little bit, and I'm confused as to where the
What do
hell
you mean
we're
going back and forth? This is 100% linear.
Okay,
They get
let
shot
me
by the
see-
repulse
let me
cannon
see-
lady.
Let me see if I can try and lay out the way so I
Okay.
can get myself back
Alright,
on track.
cool,
here.
go for it.
Yeah, so he tries to use the disguise of her husband
Yes.
to try and get something from
Yeah.
them. Doesn't work, gets knocked over. She's like, oh, so was that diplomacy or was that? It's like,
Yeah,
shut up.
comic relief, yeah,
It's
yeah.
quite funny. It turns out, like you said, about they both have their own way of doing it, but none of them work out just because
yeah.
they
They're
are
Lokis.
Loki at the end of
Yeah,
the day,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's how they go. She goes, oh yeah, so we're just looking for like did they say we're looking for a power source, something like that?
Yeah.
So, and he goes, oh yeah, that's where you go to the train station over here, and that's going to be where the Ark can take you to the Ark, but you're never going to be able to get a ticket, and we don't know why at that
Yeah.
point, but we go on later, and then we see the crowd of people who are like essentially look like poor people.
I feel
trying
like
to
you've
get
just
on.
said everything I just said, though. I
Thanks for again
condensed
interrupting.
it.
No problem. So they get on the bunch of poor people, and they're all complaining how they can't get on the
Yeah.
train. And then there's a bunch of rich people being taken on,
Yeah.
a very like class elitist type thing.
yeah.
And as you said, Loki disguises himself as one of the train guards,
Yes.
right? And says, "This is the way we're going to get on. This is my plan."
Yeah,
As
because
opposed to
her
her
plan,
way,
which was enchant people, once something doesn't work, then there's a huge shootout, right? It's
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of,
yeah.
it's kind of. What's weird is the Lady Loki is a villainous shadow figure.
Yeah.
Has all these plans with all these steps, and it's like really subtle and subterfuge, and she's working on these angles.
Yeah.
Now that we know it's Lady Loki, well, or maybe it isn't Lady Loki. No, but we know for sure it is, isn't it? We know she's the villain from episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's the way. Yeah,
Because as soon as we're with her, she becomes this like slapstick villain now. She's not really a villain and hasn't really thought things through.
That's the thing that gets me, because all the way up till now, she's like hooded figure, meticulously planning things, doing all these really terrible things, essentially killing all of these TVA agents like mercilessly.
Yeah.
Took one of them to torture to get information from.
Proper
Stole
limitless type plans,
Stole
right?
a bunch of those grenades that resets timelines, bombed the sacred timeline, which is
Yeah.
going to cause massive problems.
Right. And used the confusion of that to get in.
Just like destroy the timeline just so I can get into the TVA.
Yeah.
Completely reckless. And then it just suddenly goes into, we're gonna like try and sneak in.
Yeah,
a
I
thing
don't really
and,
think things out too much.
Got a few little odd plans and whatnot.
It's a bit
Not
weird,
too,
isn't it?
Not too smart. I'm kind of smart, not too smart.
It's a bit odd.
It's a very much step down, and that's one thing that I hate about this episode. Anyway, they get to the train station, like you said.
He's disguised as a guard.
This one's coming in. It's like, well, you need a ticket. Oh, well, they just radioed in to let me know that with this point, it's okay, no
Lady
problem.
Loki, boom, enchant Mojo's the dude.
Oh yeah, they just got radioed in that they can go on. It's like,
So that's the thing is that
Okay.
again they both have kind of very different powers, and Loki's trying to do it with his, and she's trying to do it with hers. But if they would just work together, it all works perfectly.
Right.
Because she can make one guy believe a thing, and Loki can make it look like it's true to everybody else.
it would work.
It's a perfect meshing of powers, but they keep trying to do things their own way. I think that's going to be their buddy version of things. Although
So you think they'll get together then?
No. I think as allies, their powers work really well together in tandem, and they would start to see success. Individually, just illusion and just mind control don't work, and that's why they always lose.
Right.
But they're never gonna team up, I guess. I don't know. It's odd.
We'll see. Yeah, it's a great combination, as you said. If
Yeah.
they did, they would be great. They'd be formidable, as you said.
That's the one.
So they both get on the train and they sit down, and this train is the fanciest train ever.
It's super fancy.
Especially when they're like trying to evacuate.
It's a space train, man.
Exactly. Especially when they're trying to evacuate a planet.
Yeah.
They're like, no problem. We'll get the bar stocked. We'll get dinner going.
Yeah.
5-course meals for everyone. Don't worry
Of
about
course,
it.
yeah.
Champagne, anybody? I'll take champagne. I'll take hers as well. No problem.
Who, knowing that your wait staff is still turning up to work
Mates.
the day of the moon exploding? What?
Right?
What?
the Earth, the planet's exploding. I've still got to put in my 9 to 5 though.
Mate, my managers, are you still coming in though?
Ooh, yeah. I'm literally on death's door. Though there's a meteor coming to me, and I'm dying of this poisonous gas that's in the air.
But you're coming in, right?
Coming in.
You're still coming in, yeah?
Because we're really short staffed today.
All right.
Anyway,
they start talking about their mums.
Yes. Well, they first start talking about do they have any love in their lives and whatnot.
Yeah.
She says she does have a postman waiting for her
She's
in
lying.
multiple timelines.
I swear she's lying. I thought it was a joke. I thought she was a joke. Like, yeah, of course I do.
I don't know. I felt like maybe I mistook this because obviously when you're taking notes, sometimes it is a bit hard to keep track and whatnot. But I felt like she was saying that she does, and the guys in all timelines, like she keeps visiting him again and again. I don't think it's like a love like the way we're thinking, like, oh honey, I'm gonna be back in 10 minutes, and then goes off and does her business.
Interdimensional timeline booty call.
I think it's more like she found someone when she was in a certain timeline in an apocalypse, let's say, because she's only traveling to apocalypses, that she really attached to, that was really cool. But then he obviously dies in the apocalypse. And then she comes back earlier to come see him and then relive that moment again, relive that magic.
That's super cute. That's not how I thought she was like, yeah, of course I have love, yeah.
That's the way I took it. And maybe we find out about it later, but there's only 3 episodes left.
Yeah, I thought that it turned out that they both have had like flings, of course they have, but nothing serious, and that's kind of like the Loki curse.
That was definitely our Loki.
That was
his thing. It's like, has there never been a princess or a prince? It's like a bit of both, but never really anything that's stuck and whatnot.
And here's one of those things. I think a lot of people are going to focus on this on both sides of this argument. We spoke about Loki being like gender fluid and all that stuff. No. Loki just fucks with people. So, and I don't think Loki cares about any of this stuff. He's not bi. He's not gay. He's not. He's just Loki. He's a totally separate entity. He'll bang a dude, he'll bang a chick, he'll bang a goat.
It's one of those power hungry sort of like god things. It's like everything is mine, and I will take everything.
And also a bunch of the times I bet he will have done stuff because you're not supposed to do it, and Loki likes to break rules. Doesn't matter what he wants to break the rule more than
forbidden fruit, you say?
Right, exactly. And Loki is like, I just think people are going to attach too much to that and be like, oh, look at a bi representative. No, he's
there
Loki.
Are people that just want to read into it too.
Right, yeah. And I just want to get that out of the way because I think if anybody focuses on that, you're missing the point of Loki by a long way, because it's more about causing chaos and mischief than what he sticks his dick in or let's stick its dick in him.
He takes his dick away and he puts a vagina and he's like, what sticks in me?
Exactly.
Because he can magic anything.
Exactly, and that's the point.
So then they go, all right, they have their little conversation. They get a little bit connected. But then they go, all right, well, it's going to be some time before the train gets to the Ark. We should rest up.
Why did he show the firework display? Why does he do that?
So they were talking about how they got their powers because he was interested in her power. And he goes...
That's right. She taught herself,
I learned it from my mother. My mother told me I can project where everyone shows that and whatnot. It's like, she's like, wow, that's amazing because it's not really a big thing. But
I thought it was pretty cute, to be honest.
It was quite cute. Yeah. And he goes, well, how did you learn yours? Like, I taught myself. So you just taught yourself this thing? Like...
That's major magic, isn't it?
Major magic. How did you do that?
That's big magic.
Anyway, they're going to rest. He doesn't want to fall asleep, obviously, because then the iPad PDA thing is going to get taken away. She doesn't want to rest. But eventually she does fall asleep. And she wakes up to the sound of Loki cheering and singing.
Doing a show tune.
Basically, right? And everyone on the train as well is all like, hey, let's get in there. Let's sing this song. They're like, she sings, he sings, she sings, she sings.
Yeah.
The song sounds weird.
It does sound weird. It goes from like an old Irish bar tune to then he starts singing like what sounds almost like an old Nordic hymn. Yeah.
He sings in Asgardian, it said on the subtitles I had there.
I should probably put the subtitles on. But then it comes back into, and then he fucked his mom, whatever it is, like it's totally weird. I can't remember what the lyric is.
2 steps there, isn't it?
It's very odd. And she wakes up and is like, what the frick? And notices a guy looking at him who then gets up and leaves.
Yes.
Very interesting.
And she just gets up, she's like, wait, you're singing? It's like, we're supposed to be undercover here. We're supposed to be like laying low. Like, what's going on? It's like, don't worry about it. No one cares on this train. Right. It's like, but that guy just went off and he saw you.
Right.
He's looking
I
very
don't know
strange.
what you think. These guys still have 6 hours left on their shift.
Exactly. Anyway, so they talk about their powers, what their plans are.
They had this weird thing about what is love, and then Loki's like, I figured out the answer to your question. Love is, and then some weird, stupid stuff.
It's a metaphor. It's like
a metaphor. It's like a dagger, and you see yourself in it, and you do it, and then you go to reach for it, and it's an illusion. Yeah. And she's like, that's terrible. And it's like, yeah, it really is. I thought I had something. And then the guy comes back with the guards.
Like, hey, you guys, show your tickets. And he's like, yeah, sure, my ticket, no problem. Summons the fireworks again. Yeah. And it's like,
wrong one.
That's not going to work. Whoops. And then immediately shit breaks loose. They start fighting.
They do, yeah.
Each doing their own badass shit.
I really feel like these guards should not stand a chance.
I don't know why they came. They didn't stand a chance too much, right? I guess they did get the better of them because they did knock them out of the window.
But I mean, if these guards had come up to Thor, and don't get me wrong, I get that Thor would probably beat Loki, but like, imagine like 6 ants turn up looking for beef against you.
Yeah,
you know, you're gonna be like, go away.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. It bugged me a bit.
We'll see.
Loki for some reason jumps out the window.
I think he gets knocked out of the window.
He gets knocked out the window, and she follows him because she's like the PDA.
Yeah,
the TVA PDA.
He's got the PDA, so I guess I have to follow.
Yeah.
Knocks one of the guys, goes flying out the window, and they both land on the ground. I do have to say, why were these guys all armed with Henry Hoover vacuum tubes?
I did also notice that.
And and then in the end, they're just batons.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, you're gonna get much better like range with your swing if you just disconnect that.
Right.
Right. Fucking anyway. Terrible design in a bad guy right there. So they get up and they go, all right, great. You know, you crashed another party, and they get out and they go, okay, where's the iPad? Where's the magic iPad so we can get out of here? Pulls it out of the back of his pocket. It's all smashed to pieces.
It's all smashed. Yeah.
It's like, great. Ah! She screams and turns off to the side.
Does a Siri.
Sits down on the ground. Loki comes over. And it's like, that scream helped, did it? It's like, yeah, it did actually a little bit.
Yeah, it did. A little bit.
But quickly they get back on track. They're like, okay, our plan is we need to go to the Ark because that's going to be an evacuation pod, essentially. Right. We can get off of the planet. And if we get there before this all happens, then we can essentially leave where the other people couldn't leave because this whole planet dies. And I'm thinking to myself, if they had a plan to leave, surely they would have done it. Well, it's not just that they ran down the clock, surely.
The argument that I guess our Loki makes is that the Ark doesn't make it off, but it never had the both of us helping. And so with 2 Lokis trying to get it off the ground, maybe that makes it work, right? And so that's the current plan. Get to the Ark, get it off the ground, and survive the apocalypse.
Exactly.
And on the walk, which... You know, running down the clock, there's a reason they were on the train, but on the walk, they start talking again. And
starts asking about her powers again.
Yeah, how it works.
How does it work? Like, what do you do exactly? It's like, well, you have to like grab hold of someone's mind, and it's easier on like the weaker-minded people. But the more strong they are, the more difficult it is. It's like you need to.
What does she say? She gives them an example.
She says you need to grab onto their memories to keep them in the illusion.
Yeah.
And he goes, that TVA agent, however, was really difficult. I had to go back hundreds of years to find a memory like that. So hold on a sec. Whoa. The TVA agent. Yeah. Like before she even became part of the TVA, I had to go back to when she was on Earth. She was just a regular person. Yeah. So hold on a second. But I was told that all the TVA agents were made by the timekeepers.
Yeah. She's like, that's ridiculous. No, they're variants like us.
Oh my god.
And then,
but luckily just at that moment,
well, one important thing, because Loki connects this piece of the puzzle. She's like, why didn't you know? And he's like, they don't know. And that's part of this, like, you know, I told you the TVA was the bad guys, bruv.
There you go. And at that moment, the planet above them just starts to crack open and explode. So they're like
a Kinder Egg, innit?
Shit, we got no time. Quick, let's dust out of here. They run to the town, which happens to be close by at this point.
Luckily.
And everything is going mad.
Yeah.
Obviously, the world is coming to an end. Everyone's rioting, trying to get onto the Ark. The Ark is leaving in 5 minutes.
Time crunch.
Exactly. They for some reason, all the guards who are about to die in a few minutes because they can see what's going.
Mate, they're still clocked in.
Loyal.
They're getting time and a half.
They're loyal to a fault. They're like, fuck it, we're staying here and we're defending the Ark.
Right.
We're going to be left behind, but we're defending the Ark.
Right.
And all these people are like going round. They go, all right, I've got a plan. Let's go round the back way, as if they suddenly know this way.
Right. Yeah.
They go around the side. There's people there as well.
They fight some guards in a bar.
Yeah. They come out of the bar. There's stuff crumbling around them. A couple of things. I didn't know Loki had the ability to like use his magic to like push people away. I didn't know that was one of his powers. Also, at one point when they're running through the street, A building is falling on them.
A skyscraper, and he just like telekinetically.
I've got it.
Yeah, he like Jean Greys it. Yeah.
I didn't know that was his ability. Makes me suspicious about this whole thing.
I think one of the things that I thought about that is that maybe Loki is self-sabotaging a lot of his. We're going to learn that Loki self-sabotages because he is very strong, and he kind of doesn't want to succeed in a lot of his plans. Or do you think he's really a robot?
He went through the metal detector. Don't worry about it.
Maybe that was just a mind game because the real robots wouldn't step through because they would know they're robots. They get disintegrated. But he doesn't know he's a robot, so he stepped through, but it did nothing.
Could have been all just a
That's
test.
right. Let's try it with Bucky now.
Take off your arm. No problem. I have a theory.
Yeah.
I have a theory that the moment that he stepped through that time gate from episode 2,
Yeah.
Lady Loki was waiting on the other side and used the mind controls on him. And from that point onwards, everything is fake. That's why she seems like such a decent person. That's why she doesn't seem as evil anymore. That's why somehow he uses magic in the TVA when really it doesn't. They go to this Lamentis one, it's like a fake built place, and everything just seems to go wrong. I think it's all to somehow get some sort of information from him or to get him to do something. I'm not too sure about that bit, but I have a feeling that from that moment, they didn't go to the TVA, they just went somewhere, and immediately she was just waiting with a hand, like,
boop, gotcha. And then
he's
right, because it doesn't work on him at all, to make him think that of course that can't happen to him. There's no way she could be in his head.
You're safe from me because it doesn't work.
I want that to be true so much because that would make this episode make so much more sense. It would be much better writing.
It would make this episode worth it rather than just a filler episode that we've chucked in between, which is very uncharacteristic to everything else we've seen in Disney.
There is only one problem.
Go on.
She never asks him any interesting question, any useful question.
True.
Which she did to the TVA agent. She was like, "Oh, how long have we been best friends? By the way, who's guarding the Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever it is, Timekeepers."
Guardians of the Galaxy.
How'd you get to Timekeepers, right? And then resetting it. She never has asked him anything.
And also, he doesn't have any information really. He's still brand new to this place.
Well, it might be that if she's trying to learn, like different Loki variants have different powers, and she's trying to become like the Highlander, Jet Li, there can be only one, and learn all the Loki powers, right? If she gets a few more Loki powers, she'll be the toughest Loki.
True.
But then she never says, look, your illusion thing, how does that work? Because he asks about her thing. And then
it could be trying to turn him into
an ally. But you think, Loki's going to wake up and be like, that whole adventure was just a ploy. But, dude, you're a pretty good guy.
That's it. We're done. We're done right there. Anyway, it could not be, but that was my little thing.
I really hope you're right, because that'd be so much better. Yeah. That'd be so much better. Anyway, the Ark explodes.
They try and get there, and it gets hit by one of the meteors.
And it's only at that point that the guards are like, "Oh man, maybe this is a bad day to have turned up to work."
It's like, what's the point? We're all
time and a half's
now.
Good, but
like before, if the Ark had gone, they'd be like, "It's all right, guys, we're fine.
Woo.
We're good.
Right.
We're gonna get paid. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna tell my kids
gonna
about
max
this
out
day."
my year's pension contribution.
Whereas if the Ark didn't go with, then they're like, "Oh,
well." It was all for nothing then.
All for nothing.
And then we're just sort of like, and it ends like, oh no, what will they do? Okay.
That's that.
I really hope you're right, because that solves a lot of problems with this episode.
Yeah. And that was episode 3 of Loki. That's the only thing that I could do to try and salvage this.
If episode 4 starts with the beginning of this adventure again, you'll be 100% right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because time and all these loops have been a factor all the way through this, so there could be something like that. Anyway, that was just a little theory. Hashtag Eddie was right in the comment section. Don't worry about it, guys. We get it all started now.
Of course,
obviously, it's me that's come up with the theory. But yeah, that was episode 3. Again, if this doesn't turn out to be anything else, very weak episode in my opinion.
If you're right,
I don't like that it's filler for a 6-episode season.
If you're right, it will be an okay episode.
Yeah.
It'll be a pretty okay episode because you're like, I know what's happening. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, let's kick over to some of our bros who wrote into our Discord server, just like you guys can by clicking the link in the description, because this isn't just us chatting shit.
That's right.
For
I mean, it's mostly that.
Yeah, I mean, mostly that, because we do chat a lot of shit, and we do chat for most. But you guys get to write in and tell us all about your your favorite moments and tell us what you like and what you didn't like about the show. I'm going to read from slightly lower down. I want to read this one first, if that's okay. This one is from
Yeah.
Exactly. And he says, love how you couldn't say my name last time. Couldn't say it this time either, so there you go. But still a huge fan since from the first episode of Streamcast. Aww. We've got fans. Aww. Yeah, you're going to get your money in the mail soon. Don't worry.
Paid actor?
Paid actor. He's just like the Hassan Kahraman guy. But don't worry about it. I won't say anything. Anyways, wow, what an episode. The song choices were really dope. But one thing that I can't get over is the eerie feeling. I get that the show... Sorry, 1 second. I get an eerie feeling I get when the show shows the title card. Am I the only one? There is a very...
I know what you mean.
It's very eerie there. Possibly foreshadowing for a bad ending. Seeing Lady Loki, who we've learned goes by Sylvie, trying to use magic at the TVA headquarters confused me. But after hearing she barely remembers her mum and had to learn magic by herself, I'm really curious to know where in Loki's life does she come from? Or rather, when in Loki's life did she stray away from that wasn't a part of the sacred timeline? During this scene where she had her tantrum and screamed in frustration was interesting, especially when Loki asked her if screaming helped. Almost like how a parent asks a child after throwing a tantrum. Coincidence? Ooh. You think this is Loki's child?
Oh, shit.
I like it. That's
interesting.
I like that.
That is
one
an eyes
right
emoji
there.
right there.
The fighting scene in the end was cool. Seeing how much Loki and Sylvie mirrored each other was interesting to see, not to mention they were so badass. There were two moments in the episode that made me think of non-Marvel shows, such as The Train, which slightly reminded me of Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
And when Loki said he didn't work for the TVA, but is a consultant, reminded me of the show of Lucifer.
Yeah, I can see that.
There you go. Lucifer.
God, I hope this ends better than that did.
That last season was terrible. It's unfortunate because I love that show so
Yeah.
much. Purposely done? Only Marvel knows. Just like the new... Also, could you imagine if they emulate a DC show? That'd be hilarious right there. Only Marvel knows. Just like they know that the TVA are all variants. Like what? Conspiracy here, but maybe the Timekeepers were such huge fans of Owen Wilson that they decided to hire him and call him Mobius. Either that or they got sick of hearing the man say, wow. Exactly. All the time. Which would be so messed up. Thank you very much for writing in there.
Hashiaisha, bruv. How did you not get that?
Come on now. That's not how you say it.
We'll go from the top now, I guess.
Go on,
instead of slap bang in the middle somewhere. Diogo says, the worst Marvel D+ episode by far.
He means Disney Plus, but he wrote D+.
I thought it was the grade. He was like, it's a D+ episode.
I thought that too when I read that. I was like, I think he means Disney Plus. Here we go.
Right. Maybe Falcon the Winter Soldier finale was worse due to the first half, but it felt like filler, and I'm the last one to ever say that. At times it made me feel like I was watching an episode of recent Doctor Who, a whole of nothing that doesn't progress the characters or story in any substantial way. Nauseous face. We get told things about Sylvie, but those things don't reflect her character. We aren't shown how those things shape her, so she didn't have a mother and had to learn magic. So?
That is a good question.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting that she taught it herself. How do you teach yourself magic?
Yeah.
But you need to add more to that in order for it to be relevant and whatnot.
How does that make her any different? Loki and Sylvie just act like two sides of the same coin. Slight differences, but deep down the same people. So why introduce an alternate version if they're going to essentially be the same person? The CGI was awful in the background shots, and even when simply walking. Oh yeah, I did feel that as well. Yeah,
I was like, yeah, you're very clearly on a set, and I know that you had to be on a set, but I'm just like,
why not just really go to the Lamentis one? Just go a few weeks before it happens.
Just go to Cyberpunk 2077 and just let a moon crash. And,
I don't know how we can get stellar CGI in The Mandalorian and then just trash here. I did like Loki and Sylvie's dynamic though. They really did feel like classic sibling rivalry, and that drunk song moment was great. I really
also
felt like
smashes his glass and he's
He
like,
does,
another!
I really felt like the drunk song moment was good, but didn't fit. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was good. I liked it, but I don't know why it was there.
Yeah, it was a bit odd as well.
Right.
It's odd as well.
Well, I guess it's maybe if we again we're going to assume they're both Lokis in that same sort of thing. If he's a prince, then he's going to be more inclined to be more carefree. And if she's lived on the streets, I think she says, I became this since they started chasing me as a child. So she's going to be more inclined to like keep her head down and not draw any attention to herself.
That's her instinct reaction
Right.
to be.
But other than
subtle.
that, it's just a bit odd.
Yeah.
TVA are variants.
Sorry.
Right. Cool, I guess. But we need to see more of this. And the ending was surprising, but how it ended made me dislike it overall because made me dislike dislike the overall episode more because we're getting to something actually good. And then nope. Oh, I see what you mean.
The ending
Right.
did seem like when it exploded, it was like, oh shit. Well, what's gonna happen next?
Right.
And then it just ended, and we're like, oh come on.
Right.
So we gained nothing from this episode.
And the thing is, it's a very clunky cliffhanger. Like a real good cliffhanger should raise some like subtle questions. You're like, well, how are they gonna fit? Oh god, we have to find out next time.
Yeah.
But this was like, oh no, will they survive with half the show left to go? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, like
we have the answer. We just don't know how you're gonna get to.
You
the
mentioned
answer.
Lucifer. Lucifer's a good example of these crime shows. Anytime they show someone that's clearly the villain, I pause the show, see how long we got left. It's not them.
Yeah.
Right? At the very end, yeah, this is the person, right? That's just the formula they go with.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things of like, we're halfway through the show with the titular character. This ain't it. So now, but a good way to solve that is your theory, which is we cut to Loki with a time portal behind him. She's doing the thing. The time portal disappears, and we realize, oh, that was all in his head. That's a very good way to do that.
That would be a good cliffhanger if that's what's going to happen. That would be a good cliffhanger.
Yeah, because then you're like, oh, the world explodes, and we see in the very beginning of the next episode, no, the world didn't explode.
No.
It's all in his head, and then we come back into it, and cool,
Yeah.
okay, fine.
Our next bro, T, Sheddy Stan. Thank you very much, bro. Thank you very much for standing us. Our first Stan, I think. Diogo is just jealous they let a woman write a story again. You know, that's probably what it is. We shouldn't let women write any stories.
Hold on a minute.
I'm a firm believer of that.
Unless you're right, it will turn out. I'm just saying.
One of the best episodes. For now, women can't write TV shows or movies or anything. They're
Right.
the worst at everything ever. Men are better than everything. Next episode. Women are the best.
Right, the way this writing
You
is.
know? Men can't do anything.
Right.
I loved it because I don't hate women unlike Diogo. Oh God. I don't hate women unlike Diogo. Yeah, I don't hate women. What, you gonna ban me? I'm gonna ban him right now because this is proof women can't do anything. The one-shot camera action at the end was amazing. Made me miss Daredevil, and the credits were dope. Also, I hate cliffhangers.
So
It was
yeah,
a loose cliffhanger to be honest.
I'm gonna say that wasn't even like as cliffhangers go. That really sucked. I like one-shot camera angles. I think that's a really good thing to do. But if you're gonna do it, show us something good.
Yeah.
Like that scene was so. What happened was so meh. There was like no risk from the guards that they were fighting because they're in the middle of an apocalypse, and they were just regular, whatever lives on Lamentis, aliens, dudes, whatever, and they're Lokis. Whereas in like Daredevil, in that hallway fight, like he is still functionally just a normal guy. He's a blind guy who can see. Right.
There you go.
so there's a lot more risk fighting 7 guys in a hallway.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're going to do one-shot takes, which I love, make it interesting. Give us a reason to be interested in it.
Yeah.
Because we've got way more risk from the planet exploding than these 5 dudes with Henry Hoovers.
At the end of the day, it's going to be the planet's going to kill you. That's a way bigger impending doom.
Right.
Do you mind if I read the next one? Because that was a bit
Go
short.
for it, man. Go for it.
Rick writes in, and he says, "Hey, bros. First time writing in, but I've been listening since WandaVision episode 1. Whee!
Right.
Thank you very much for joining the new show, bro."
Yeah, thanks very much. Rick obviously knows Hydra are the bad guys.
Yes, you've known from the beginning, obviously been tracking and whatnot. And Mephisto's obviously the one orchestrating it all.
True.
We know that.
True.
You're a loyal fan.
Hey, here's a question for you.
Go on.
When did Lady Loki break her horn?
I wanted to ask that as well.
Because
I wanted to ask that as well.
that maybe lends some credence to your idea that we're in an illusion because she didn't break it. in reality, right?
Yeah.
So if she comes in and that makes her look like a little bit wounded, she's been damaged.
If we see that again, then we'll know that there's two different. Something's going on here. Something's afoot. There is one moment where she takes off her head thing.
Yeah, and punches
she starts
someone.
fighting people. But I think
it
was broken before that.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like it was broken in the hut where she tries to mojo him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Could be something that's a subtle little hint there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess first I enjoyed the episode a lot, especially the banter between Loki and Sylvie. From a technical standpoint, it was made well. Long fighting shots and long take at the end was very good. I'd have to say, let's give credit. That long take was quite cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just think what it showed could have been better.
Yeah.
You know, that's all.
There's a lot of good choreography you have to do, and a lot of planning you have to do those kind of things. Right. So, hats off.
By the way, one thing that was done really well when Loki's on her left and then illusions himself to be a guard and switches, like the editing to that was really good.
Yeah.
And it was a really good thing to, I just appreciated it knowing how it was done.
Yeah.
Or how I would go about doing that, how clean that was.
It was
good. So there's things that are very, 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 very good about the show.
Yeah.
So, because I know we've ragged on this episode in particular, there was still some great stuff.
Well, it's the worst thing ever because it was written by a woman, apparently.
Right, I forgot about that.
Just found out now. Long fight shots and long take was good at the end. I'm a sucker for good long takes. Although it is clear that there were cuts, the camera panning up and down, I still enjoy the people making taking their time to choreograph it all. I do have one question, and I'm certain you guys have the answer. When Loki was drunk, I saw some sexual tension between the two of them, and it got me wondering, if they fuck each other, is that incest? Or, because they're from different realities, it doesn't matter. As I said, I'm certain you guys will know. Have a good one, lads.
Yep, to answer the question, it's masturbation.
That's masturbation. That's what that is right there. It's like sitting on your hand, and
the
then
stranger in it.
It's it's still you, but it's not you. It's masturbation.
It's masturbation.
But if it turns out to be like, who was it that said it? If it turns out to be his daughter,
then that's disgusting.
That's where we gotta draw a line.
Yeah,
we gotta draw a line. We at Combro Sections, we hate women, but we don't advocate having sex with your children. Okay, we don't advocate that.
I mean, are we gonna draw a hard line on that? Or?
Well, I mean, if they're sexy, then we'll allow it.
Oh yeah, they gotta be hot enough.
They're hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Sorry, we just had to have a little moment there. Yeah.
I'm keeping that in.
We've got so much material on the internet that's just insta-cancelled.
If we weren't doing what we do, yeah.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it's masturbation. It's if we somehow figure out time travel, we'll get one of you, Rick, and we'll get you to suck you off. And
that's right. It's not gay.
It's not gay.
True.
And especially if it's in
a three-way. If you're gay, then it's still gay.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're not gay, then it's not gay. Do you see what I mean? Exactly. Like, you're just more of what you already are.
And also, you have to be gay to be gay. Just sucking off another dude doesn't make you gay.
That's true.
If you love the dude, and you love dudes.
That's right.
Anyway. This just became a whole conversation about fucking yourself and whether or not it makes you gay.
Also, does any of it count if they're Lokis? Because Lokis, as we've established, don't fit any like human thing. Oh, he's bi, he's gender fluid. No, he's Loki. So two Lokis. Is it just like two droplets of water just becomes one big droplet of water? Do you know what I mean?
It could be.
It's just more Loki. It doesn't.
It's one droplet of jizz turns into multiple droplets of jizz. Right. Just nothing.
You think Loki hasn't made illusions of him and just done one huge Loki orgy? Like, come on. Right?
He probably has.
See what I'm saying?
He's done a Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. Just pulls out multiple of him, starts caressing bodies, caressing his own body.
Except I doubt one was just working in a room, One's just in a room just doing some research.
So hey, I'm just going to be solving all the planet's energy crisis and stop the war and whatnot.
Right.
Loki's going to be like, I'm creating war. Anyway, continue, my friend. Thank you. I hope you answered that question.
CAA 56 says...
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Before I start this episode, I rewatched episode 2, and it just reminds me so much of Umbrella Academy, which I haven't seen, but I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's got one weird thing with it where it's like they show you the ending
Yeah.
of what's going to happen, and then everything is leading up to that. It can be bad sometimes because you're like, okay, we know we're getting there. Nothing happened to further that point. Okay, this episode didn't. It feels like this,
right?
Sometimes, not all the time. I like the show,
Yeah,
but that's all right. Go
ahead. When the timeline is bombed, there's the guys in the room who see it, which also happens in Umbrella Academy season 2. There's more, but I just want to jump in. Also, Sheps, you should watch Umbrella Academy. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah.
There you go.
The music took a downgrade between episodes. Interesting.
Oh, it's just that first song that I heard, and I was like, yeah. And then the rest of it, I don't remember anything. So
I don't remember it. Well, that's the thing. I feel like if you don't remember the music, then it was probably at least fine, if not good. Because otherwise it would stand out to you like, why this doesn't fit.
Interesting.
That's how I always think. I think if you didn't notice the music, it was probably really good.
We've had a lot of varying opinions. Some people have been saying the music's great, and then some people saying it's bad. So it's
an interesting one. It's very controversial. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Divisive is what I'm looking for.
That's the word.
First scene confused me a bit until I realised it was the hostage. The fight scene was pretty cool. Also, the TVA has sticks that can disintegrate someone, but has to change their portal device. Oh, has to charge their portal device.
Yeah.
Pretty stupid if you ask me. We've never seen. There's probably pruning, charging ports.
They've got a one of those little battery chargers for your phone in your pocket.
It's got a little dynamo. It charges when you walk in it.
That's it. That's why they're never stopping. They're constantly walking. They're like, power walk boys.
Hope the whole 2077 thing didn't give Eddie flashbacks to Cyberpunk. Loki disguising as the woman's husband was pretty cool, as it's power he hasn't used in the show yet. The face Sylvie had after Loki said "my mother" just showed that there would be a fairly emotional scene. What?
When they were having
it was going to be emotional. Right. This whole also that's interesting because the only time Loki really ever drops his barriers is with himself.
Yeah.
And we saw that after he learns his future, and he admits to I don't want to hurt people. It's an illusion by the weak to appear strong. He's really dropped his barrier because he's seen about himself, and now he's talking to himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bear with me 1 second. This whole place just reminds me of The Mandalorian. Loki said another, which is a cool reference to Thor.
Yeah.
Also did the post from Ragnarok where he says, "I've been falling for 30 minutes," and he gets thrown out of the train. The first scene makes much more sense now that we know how enchantment works, and the TVA is all variants, but that makes me wonder, did the timekeepers grab the first variants to hire them? I can make another Umbrella Academy connection because at the end of season 1 the moon breaks apart and hits Earth, but in Loki a planet breaks apart and hits the moon. Overall, my least favorite episode so far, probably because of the shorter runtime, but still pretty great. So
the moon thing is funny. It's sort of like, hey bro, can I borrow your homework? Because but just change it a little bit so
don't make it obvious.
Don't make it obvious. They just switched moon and planet. There you go.
I thought it was interesting about the TVA and the variants, because the variants don't know their variants.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if the prune things are really just wiping people and they set a fresh copy of that body somewhere. And the pruning doesn't kill people.
It at least has the same animation as the resetting the timeline thing. But we've told that that's resetting the timeline. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But also, we did see in one of them, when they go to that hut where she takes one of the TVA agents, puts it down, the button gets pressed. It does seem like it... I mean, they do say reset the timeline. It's sort of like everything that's supposed to be there is still there, but then the bodies disappear from it.
Yeah,
but with the pruning sticks, which do the exact same thing,
do you know what it is?
They disappear.
So do you know what it is?
Do
you know why the bodies disappear? Because it resets it to a point where they weren't there.
They weren't supposed to be there. But I'm thinking...
So it reset, the time in that location gets reset to 5 days previous.
Yeah. I'm trying to make it connect to your thing, or maybe the people that it does disintegrate, they get taken somewhere.
They get put back in their place on the timeline, probably.
Maybe.
They're currently dead. I don't freaking know. Who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway, their variants is interesting.
Exactly. Our next comment is from Super Whale Ben, and he writes and he goes, "Where are all the bugs and glitches? At least someone knows how to make 2077 without being broken. Pow pow!"
In fairness, the world ended when it all worked. Just saying.
That's a fairly big glitch. Sarge says,
Overall, very interesting episode. Interesting to find out that the TVA workers are effectively slaves. So maybe your theory that the TVA being those bad guys from the 1940s might be right.
I told you.
Just saying, there's some parallels.
There's some parallels there.
I'm just saying their uniform design's pretty on point. I think they might be hinting Sylvie isn't actually a Loki, but I'm not going to theorize, so don't get disappointed. But yeah, very good mid-season episode.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think depending on how episode 4 goes, it will be a very good mid-season. If it just turns out that we pick up where we left off and there isn't any weird mind control thing like you said, then I'm going to call it not very good, yeah.
And our final comment from Big Boy Billy, and he says, "So I felt today's episode was a bit of a step down from last week's episode.
Yeah.
I agree with Yogo to a certain extent about how the episode doesn't really push the plot forward.
Right, because women wrote it.
That's why he agrees with Diogo. That's
Yeah.
the same right there. But I still think there were some nice character moments sprinkled in there. I think the acting from Sofia Di Martino, is that her name? I guess that's her name.
that's Lady Loki.
Guess so. Wasn't great, but
That's weird. I thought she was really quite good.
I thought she was good. It's just this. The thing that isn't good is that it's a drastic change from what
she's not playing the same character that we met.
Yeah.
The character that she plays in this, I'm like, oh, that's good acting. But that isn't the character that she played the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's weird.
My apologies. I read his comment wrong. So, oh no, we did say it wasn't great, and we said it was great. That was the only issue. Sorry, I'm looping myself here. But I still managed to enjoy her character due to the good writing and just how good the dynamic between Tom Hiddleston is on screen also worked in her favor. Overall, not a bad episode, not an amazing one either. The CG was shocking in places, and it felt like the plot hadn't moved forward much since episode 2. But it was on whole quite enjoyable to watch. I also really like the callback to Thor, where Loki smashes his glass and shouts, "Another!" Sylvie also said that she was in love with a postman. There was a postman in one division.
He's come back.
Oh.
You guys were right about the postman. His nightmare.
There was a postman in one division who we all know was Mephisto. Mephisto confirmed we did say it was Nightmare back then, but he could be Mephisto.
And we know the
if he's
TVA has an
parallel.
entire Nightmare division. So, confirmed. I'm calling it confirmed. That's good enough. Good enough for us.
But a circle.
Good enough for us.
Good enough for us. Could the postman be the real puppeteer behind Sylvie's plan? Was he the one that gave Kabui to the children in the church? Tune in next time for the episode of Loki. I love when people ask questions.
Meanwhile,
like the Legion of Doom. Anyway, guys, that's all the comments that you guys wrote in. Thank you all so much for creating great conversation. It's really good stuff right there.
Yeah.
I hope episode 4 is a lot better, and I hope it goes somewhere.
It would be so easy for us to just cut into the world explodes and then zoom out or like pull out, and it's no, never pull out. It's Lady Loki mind mojoing Loki.
Yeah.
And you're like, and suddenly episode 3 is really good, and we're back to having a good villain. Because as of right now, unless the TVA are the bad guys, there is no villain that I can figure out.
Yeah.
Right? Or she was a good villain and now sucks. Like I don't.
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a limbo state at the moment. We're gonna have to see what happens in the next episode to actually have any sort of verdict on this one, which is really odd. Guys, thank you for tuning in for this episode again. We'll catch you guys all next week. Feel free to write in again for the next episode. Just let these bros have. Thank you all so much for being awesome. And we'll catch you all in the next one. See you later, bro. TVA out.
No, why do you always do it?
Prune this timeline.
If I could go, I would go back and know exactly the day. And I just would never turn up in the cafeteria that day.
Oh, hey. There's no one here.
That's weird. This chair was empty. I feel like this chair, someone should be sitting here. Nope.
We'll never meet and never start this. And then you're going to deprive all of these people of my great jokes right at the end here. Catch you later, boys.